8th. Showtime Championship Boxing. We are back at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, or as we like to call it, the Punch Bowl. We got a triple header of fights coming your way on Showtime Championship Boxing, 10 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 o'clock Pacific time. And it's all presented by Premier Boxing Champions, by the way. These fights are going to be promoted by TGB Promotions, Samson Boxing. The tickets can be purchased at AXS.com. Again, AXS.com. The main event of that night is a barn burner at 154 pounds. It features the unbeaten WBC interim champ, Sebastian, the Towering Inferno Fundora. He's taken on the hard-hitting Brian Mendoza. Listen, last time we saw Fundora, that was last October, where he took on Carlos Ocampo, dominated him for 12 rounds, got the unanimous decision, and it was right there at Dignity Health Sports Park, by the way. And then the last time we saw Brian Mendoza, who can forget that? That was last November. He took on the former unified champion at the time, Jason Rosario. Mendoza took the fight, folks. Let's not forget, on 10 days' notice. 10 days' notice, and he knocked Rosario down twice in that fight, especially in the 5th round. And basically, in the second time, that was it. It was a wrap. And he not only knocked out Rosario, but Rosario, you might remember, retired after that fight. That's how devastating that knockout was to him and to his career. He's now coming off of 2 straight, talking about Mendoza, 2 straight knockout wins. This is going to be something. It is the main event. I got both of the fighters here. We're going to talk about their upcoming main event. We'll allow you members of the media to ask some questions as well to these fighters. Make sure you hit the raise your hand icon there at the bottom of your Zoom. And then members of Showtime Sports will allow you to ask questions to these guys. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the Towering Inferno himself, Sebastian Fundora. He's unbeaten. Sebastian, I guess, first of all, give members of the media just an update on how camp is going and what should we expect when you get into the ring with Brian Mendoza.
Oh, camp's been good. Everything's been good for me. We've been training hard, getting ready for another fight, another exciting fight here in Carson. So just expect fireworks, I'm going to bring my best. I hope he brings his best. And again, just expect fireworks.
Love it. Brian Mendoza, same thing to you. For members of the media who are watching this, give us some insight on how camp has been going, how you've been training for a guy who's 6'6", 6'7", and what should we expect when you get in the ring with the Towering Inferno?
Another explosive performance. Like last time, this has been a tremendous camp. I've been killing myself day in, day out, suffering every single day, making sure, leave no stone unturned. And we're just ready to go. I wish it was tomorrow.
Love it. All right, guys, let's talk about this fight a little bit. Sebastian, I got to go to you because, look, Mendoza, we know this guy can throw. He's now coming off 2 straight knockout wins. Is that something that concerns you? Is this a fight where you say, hey, look, I'm not trying to go toe-to-toe with this guy?
No, that's never the case for me. This last guy we fought, Ocampo, was a hitter, apparently. Lubin was a hitter. All these guys been strong guys, Mendoza's another strong fighter that we're going to fight, and we're going to just go for the win like always.
B, listen, this is a guy who, again, he's so tall at 6'6", 6'7", and you would think on the outside that this guy would use his range and reach. But you know what? He loves to battle it out with guys, and it's an exciting fight. Is that the type of fight you're expecting out of Sebastian Fundora?
Yeah, of course. But like I said, I've been suffering in camp, just sacrificing everything to be ready for whatever happens. If he tries to use his range and all that, or if he tries to bang, like usual, we're ready really for anything. But I just, been preparing, brought in sparring partners. I've even been in there with cruiserweights sparring and stuff, literally getting ready for anything. So it's really that, just truly ready for anything, not just that cliche, but just ready for whatever.
I think I read something where you told one member of the media, you're looking to, not only shock people again with this victory over, you said over Fundora. Talk to me about that. What do you think people didn't give you enough respect for that win that you got over Rosario?
It wasn't so much about the respect. It was just before the fact. Before I said I wanted to add a former unified world champion to my resume, and people, scoffed and laughed. And I was like, all right, keep laughing. And it's more about that. It's just you don't have to believe me. I'm gonna show just with my actions. And that's what I want to do. I want to go out there and prove that I'm one of the best, and especially in this division. And that's the goal. So it's more about getting just proving to people. It's like, all right, you don't have to just believe my words, but I want to go in there and prove what I say, that I'm going to shock the world and pull off another big upset.
What did that win over Rosario do for you and your confidence?
The confidence was there just through the work ethic. So I finally have my team, the right team behind me and everything. And because I've always, dedicated everything to this, and the confidence was always there. But of course, it does get to another level. And then, you just see, like, I went immediately from that to a title fight like this. So it did everything. It was everything.
Sebastian, listen, every fight is important. And I know that. But, we just had Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison, and we saw what he did to Tony Harrison. And now he's gotten Charlo's attention, and Charlo and Tszyu is like, okay, let's get it on this summer. So in light of that, I know you want your crack at that undisputed crown. How important then is this fight and making sure there is no slip-ups against somebody like Mendoza?
This fight is as important as every other fight before, Mendoza's a hard hitter, like you guys said. He's a contender as well. We're not looking lightly of him. This is another tough fight, just like the last fight, just like the fight before. We have to go past Mendoza if we want to even think about fighting for that championship.
What did you see when you watched Mendoza and what he did to Rosario? What were your thoughts about him as a fighter? Or did they change at all after seeing what he did to Rosario?
No, I think he did a great performance. He did his thing. He looked very strong, but it wasn't like I didn't see anything different. Like whereas it's like we knew he was strong. That's I just put it like that.
Got it. B, listen, Sebastian 6'6". How does that height? How does that reach pose as? And is it an issue at all come April in this fight?
It's not an issue. I've been fighting and sparring tall guys, my whole life. Especially not 54. I'm usually the shorter guy. And it really doesn't make a difference in sparring. I haven't had any kind of trouble. And guys that try to keep me away, or like guys that try to just overpower me because they're bigger, like I said, sparring cruiserweights and just bigger people in general. I have too much experience, and that's what's going to be the difference here.
And Fundora is known for mixing it up. He loves to go toe to toe with guys. Is that an advantage for you in this fight?
I think so, but it's like I'm also just not gonna go in there and try to play into his strengths and everything. And like I said, it's about me proving what I have to the world. The experience I have now is just unreal. These last 5 years in Vegas have just been tremendous, and that's what I'm trying to show. People think, okay, I'm just a hard hitter, I'm this or that, and I'm gonna keep showing the world otherwise.
Sebastian, listen, I love Brian Mendoza. He's got, I would like to call it that quiet confidence. And you heard what he said. He's got more experience. Obviously, he believes he's got some power, but he's got the skills to take you out. Your response?
We'll see. April 8th, we'll see that. I think a lot of people have been saying that about me, but I'm just going to have to prove myself again. Just like him. We both have a chip on their shoulder. I want to become champion just like him. So we'll see what happens April 8th.
Yeah. And talk to me about that chip, because where does that come from for you? Because, before it was like a nice story. Now you're kind of like one of the guys at 154. So where does that chip come from for you?
I feel like we've been proving ourselves over and over and over again. We're just here waiting for our slot, for our shot to fight for the title. So, people keep doubting us. They keep putting people in front of us and saying, this guy's going to beat you, or this guy's going to knock you out, or this guy's going to expose you. We'll see. We keep proving them wrong, and we're going to prove them wrong again. That's what we're doing.
What is Brian Mendoza going to find out about Sebastian Fundora on April 8th?
for the next world champion at super welter.
B, what is Sebastian Fundora going to find out about you on April 8th?
And I'm going to be the new interim WBC super welterweight world champion. And that I'm a lot more than just a power puncher.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Folks, I'm telling you, this is the main event that's going down in Carson on April 8th. Two tough guys at 154 pounds. I know there's a number of members of the media that have got some questions for you guys, so I'm going to let them ask away. Mitch Abrams, he's with us from Showtime Sports. He's going to allow members of you, the media, ask your questions. Mitch, go ahead, take it away.
Thanks so much, Brian. I appreciate it. Let's kick things off with Keith Eidick from Boxing Scene. Keith, go ahead.
Thanks, Mitch. My first question is for Sebastian. Sebastian, how has it been for you to go through this process where you've had to wait for your title shot and remain active in several dangerous fights? I mean, how and why has that been important for you to remain active and stay sharp?
You know, honestly, it hasn't been a problem. I feel like with, how they have their system, I guess, like if you become the contender first, you get a fight for the belt first. So I think Tim became the WBO contender first. So that didn't really bother me. But, they made the WBC order to fight with us in Harrison, and that didn't happen. So now, like, I feel like everybody's trying to almost skip me, and that's kind of bothering me. But you know what? My dad told me to remain patient, We have a tough fight with Mendoza. We'll focus on that, of course, And we'll just keep moving forward as everything's going, I guess.
Sebastian, have you been led to believe if you beat Brian in what's obviously a difficult fight, that you will get the winner of Charlo and Zoo in your next fight?
I like to believe that, but I don't even know. I don't even know. So we'll see what's next after Mendoza. But right now we have Mendoza still in front of us, so we're going to focus on that.
Okay. Thank you, Sebastian. And I have a couple questions for Brian. Brian, congratulations on your most recent win. I know it was a career-changing victory for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How has it been for you? I know, like you said, you've fought heavier guys and everything in sparring. But how difficult? It's unusual to fight a 6'6" junior middleweight and a southpaw at that. How hard is it to get sparring to replicate what Sebastian does?
At first, but I know, I'm here in Vegas in the Mecca of boxing. Basically, it's so we know a lot of people. I know a lot of people and stuff, and we've been able to bring in some sparring partners that we're able to emulate pretty well. Even the size and punch selection and all that stuff. So it's everything just fell into place beautifully.
Okay. Brian, you've obviously been through a lot in your career. You had a couple of setbacks in recent years. What would it mean for you to beat Sebastian on April 8th and then find yourself in position to fight for all 4 titles at some point, potentially later this year?
Everything. A win is everything. I'm trying to get to that next level. And I finally feel like I have the right team behind me, the level of experience and everything. And I feel like I'm in my prime. So I'm really entering my prime, and it's just time. So right now, this win is everything.
You guys are obviously fighting at a venue, Brian, that's has some history in terms of producing great fights. You guys' styles seem that you could mesh together and make one of those epic fights. Can you speak to that fighting at Dignity Health Sports Park against a guy who obviously comes to fight every time out?
No, the fighting at I still call it the OG StubHub. It's an honor there because that's a legendary place. Tons of wars have always happened there, and I want to cement my name as part of one of those wars and one of those big fights that went down there.
You think this really could be a fight of the year candidate, though, just based on you two guys' styles?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think anyone's really going to want to take a step back, and just the styles period, like you said, the way everything's going to line up. I feel like it's very possible.
Great, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Appreciate for that. Let's next go to Jim Conlon from RCB Radio Sport Ireland. Jim, go ahead.
Hi, guys. My first question there is for Brian. Brian, obviously you went in as a underdog against Rosario. Do you feel maybe that you're carrying momentum off that sort of victory, that sort of surge in confidence that win gives you? And do you feel that maybe now that maybe the trick is out of the bag, that Fundora recognizes you and recognizes your ability now? So do you think you had that element of surprise against Rosario that you're probably not going to have against Fundora?
More or less, because even then, even after the fight, people were saying, "Oh, I just caught him," or this or that. But like I said, people aren't seeing the experience, the little subtle tricks and subtle stuff that came into that fight. So no, and if you ask the sports books, I'm still a huge surprise underdog to this. So we're just gonna have to see. It's just another one. I'm proving myself each and every time out, and like I said, the level I'm at right now is just I feel like I can't be beat.
And my next question is for Fundora. I suppose Fundora, everyone is talking about Jermell Charlo in the division, and Charlo's probably looking down and saying he's the top dog and there's no one there to go toe-to-toe with him. Do you feel that maybe that Charlo has even not considered you? He's not even talking about your name. Do you feel that's a disrespect, or do you feel that maybe that Charlo doesn't mention you because he's a bit scared of you?
That's the business side of boxing. I don't really know too much about it. I just know that Tim Tszyu was up next, so that he had that hand issue, so he didn't fight Tim Tszyu. He had a rest, I guess, for a little bit, but now they're back on. So I think after that fight, then we can actually start looking for that championship fight, because apparently that one's already set in stone. So we'll see.
Cheers, guys. Best of luck the weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for that, Jim. Let's now go to Lucas Cattell from Pro Boxing News. Lucas, go ahead.
Hey, my first question, Fundora, pretty tough opponent in Mendoza. You're pretty close to getting a big opportunity. Can you talk through how this fight came about and kind of picking this opponent? Because I think a lot of people in your shoes wouldn't take this type of challenger at this moment.
We never pick anybody. I don't pick anybody. They just give me the assignment and I just do it. Mendoza came off a big win with Banana, and they said if they offered the fight to us, and they said, heck yeah, that's a good fight. Good fight for the fans, a good fight for us. So we just took it as soon as we heard the name.
Okay, and for Brian, you've talked extensively about Tony Brady helping with your career. Can you speak to some of the aspects of your relationship with Tony and how he's helped kind of with this resurgence in your career?
He's been key. Absolutely. Like, I've always had the fundamentals and all the boxing stuff, in my head, but now with Tony Brady behind me, I have the strength, the conditioning, just all around, the mental fortitude, honestly, to really go out there and execute. And I feel like that's been a huge key factor and been the biggest key that I've added to the team in the last few years.
I feel like my final question, I feel like this division's fairly wide open. We got Charlo at the top. Tim Tszyu had just an amazing performance. Are you guys trying to put on a performance? And this is fairly obvious, but are you, in the back of your mind, are you looking at Tim Tszyu's recent performance and the praise he got to somewhat outdo that performance and make noise of your own to make a challenge at the top of the division?
Absolutely. 154, the thing I love about 154 is the titles were playing hot potato for years. And that's the thing, at 154, everybody fights everybody. You don't really get too much ducking and dodging. And that's why we're here, making fights like this.
Yeah, those are my questions. So
okay, thanks, Lucas. Appreciate it. Let's now go to James Bell from the Boxing Source. James Bell, go ahead.
All right, thanks. Just one question here for Sebastian. Given that you have built up your undefeated record up to this point here, and you did have a tough fight with Erickson Lubin last year, and also the fight with Carlos Ocampo. What do you feel like you're developing over the course of your career the most while you build this unbeaten record and get to the top in the 154-pound division?
I feel like I don't know, just building up to my. We had all this planned. I feel like me and my dad, we would always talk about when I first started professional. At 24, 25, we'll be fighting for a title around there, contender. And everything's working out well, we have a title. It's not the full title yet, but we're around where we think we are. And, you just praying we get that title fight soon. So that's about it.
All right, gotcha. Thanks. That's my questions.
Thanks, James. Good stuff. Let's now go to Willie Suarez from Boxeo Cubano. Willie, go ahead.
How you doing, guys? I have a question for Brian Mendoza, actually for both of them. I'm going to ask the question in Spanish to Brian Mendoza. Mendoza, tú como boxeador cubano-americano que eres, ahí vimos un juego importante entre Cuba y Estados Unidos. ¿Cómo te sentiste? ¿A quién le ibas?
Bueno, no, tú sabes, uno quiere que gane Cuba y tú sabes todas las cosas políticas y eso, pero anyway, pero no se puede olvidar que nací aquí, soy americano también. Eso fue algo difícil, estaba mezclado, tú sabes, entre los dos. Pero no, fue un tremendo juego. He asked me how I felt about the game yesterday, the baseball game between America and Cuba. I said, of course, I always want to root for Cuba, but can't forget I'm born and raised, I'm American, so it was, real hard. And then obviously all the politics that go behind it.
The reason I ask you that question, Mendoza, is because both of you are actually Cuban Americans, Fundora, Cuban American Mexican. So does that make you feel any different way? Because we see Mexicans fighting Mexicans, American fighting American, but when it comes to the Cubans, for the most part, we don't see that too often. Does it make you both feel any kind of way?
It's all the same to me, honestly. I just want the best fights. I want the world titles. Undisputed on all that. So, as on my side, I just want to fight the best, and they can be wherever they come from.
Same to you, Fundora.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. He's one of the top fighters at 154. So, if he's Cuban, so be it. It is what it is. Everybody's here to become a champion. It doesn't matter where they're from. So, same thing.
Great. Thanks for that question, Willie. Appreciate it. Now let's go to Dario Besse from La Casaca Boxing Club. Dario, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question for each fighter. First for Fundora, since Lubin, you have thrown much more jabs. You have been more consistent with it. 125 against Lubin, 365 against Ocampo. Does this mean that you are mastering your jab, or is it just a thing about the opponent that you had that night?
Mastering your jab, I feel like, I'm not gonna say I mastered it, but I'm learning how to use a little bit more distance and stuff like that. Not that I've been learning, I'm just using it more. I feel like I always can box. I always could box, but these fights call for different things. Ocampo, I could box a little bit more than I could with Lubin. Lubin was trying to be there in the chest, something that I'm comfortable with, but that's what the fight called for. So I'm just showing the boxing world what I can do in different situations. Boxing, using the jab, I always been able to use that.
Thank you very much. Mendoza, does the underdog tag fits you in this kind of fights? This is the second fight that is really big, and it's coming to you as a B-side. Does it fit you? Does it forces you to be a better fighter?
Absolutely. I feel like, either way, I want to put on my best performances. But yeah, honestly, I'm kind of enjoying the whole B-side thing. It makes the victory that much sweeter.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dario. I appreciate it. Now let's go to Antonio Baez from AB Boxing News. Antonio, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Question is for Brian. Brian, your last fight with Banana, right? Was with Banana. What did you learn from that fight, and what can you take from that fight to beat the champion, Fundora?
In that fight, I just gained a lot more experience. That was a former unified world champion. And he was actually on a comeback streak. He had like 2 or 3 fights in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of people didn't even know that. So, he felt like 160 was going to be his healthiest thing. They made me go up to his weight, and he was on that comeback streak, feeling himself. He thought 160 he was going to be a lot healthier and everything. And then it was just the experience I gained from it. I learned obviously a lot of little tricks and little stuff I picked up from the fight, but it was the biggest thing I would say was experience from being in there with someone like that.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Antonio. And that will conclude our media session for today. I'm going to send it back up to Brian Custer for some final thoughts.
Okay, Mitch, thank you very much. Again, listen, this is the main event that comes your way Saturday, April 8th on Showtime Championship Boxing. We're going to do it from the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. The main event, Sebastian Fundora, unbeaten, taking on Brian Mendoza. Again, this fight is brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions, being promoted by TGB Promotions and Samson Boxing. You can get your tickets at AXS.com. AXS.com. Guys, we're going to wrap it up with this. Brian, I always like to ask this question for all of those people who will turn into Showtime Championship Boxing. And for those people who will come out and spend their hard-earned money there in Carson, California, to come watch you fight, what can you guarantee they're going to get when you step into the ring with Sebastian Fundora on April 8th?
I can guarantee another explosive upset, just like the last one. You know, people, they were laughing and doubting and everything just like then. And then I went in there and proved it, and I plan to do the exact same thing April 8th. So I guarantee you should get your tickets.
Love it. Sebastian Fundora, same question to you. To those people who love to come out to Carson, California, they love to watch you fight. What can you guarantee they're going to get when you step in the ring with Brian Mendoza?
Another another exciting show. You know, got two hard hitters fighting on the main event, and then we got my sister fighting another card. So show up early enough, and you'll see my sister fight too. So
I love it. It should be one heck of a fight. Again, it goes down April 8th on Showtime Championship Boxing. Brian Mendoza, Sebastian Fundora. Guys, best of luck to you. Stay healthy throughout here at camp, and can't wait to see you guys in a couple of weeks on Showtime. I appreciate your time.
Looking forward to it, man.
Absolutely. And thank you, members of the media, for tuning in. I'm Brian Custer. Thanks for watching. We'll see you April 8th on Showtime Championship Boxing.
Record.